Hey Island Lifers, welcome back. This is episode 11. Yes, I know it's been a minute. As you know, life sometimes happens. We did continue to film. I just wasn't able to put the videos together and release them for you. So I'm putting them together now to catch you up on our adventures. Yes, it continued and everything is pretty okay right now. I hope you are excited for learning what we did next. And I hope you continue to follow along. One of the things that Clayton and I wanted to share with you is that we're super happy to hear that our adventures have inspired or entertained many of you to think about living off-grid, think about building on your own, think about building on an island. That's pretty unexpected for us. We are just doing these videos for family and friends. Just for fun, so it's really nice to know that these little extra things are happening for people who are around the world. So thanks so much for sharing those comments with us. It's very encouraging. So let's get into this adventure. So this is just continuation of the deck building. The build-up beams have been put in place. The deck joists had to be put into the joist hangers. So again, as COVID happened, we had a supply chain issue with wood, as I'm sure a lot of people did. So we could only get 2x10s for the deck. So basically we can put a car on the deck if we want to now. So Nicole is well versed in construction as she grew up helping Clayton and her dad build a lot of their house they grew up in and ran a construction project. So luckily she had a knack for helping out around the cabin for Clayton. So she held up the joists and Clayton nailed them into the joist hangers. So I think that Clayton really enjoyed having a hand versus me just typing on my computer in the tent. Clayton then made use of Nicole's handiness by moving on inside to the loft build. So she helped hand up the sheets that were going to be covering the floor in the loft. So they were 3/4 inch 4x8 plywood sheets. She handed them up, he pulled them up, and both of them nailed them down throughout all of the loft. So then we had a nice floor. They were tongue and groove, and they were fastened down to the timbers just with nails. We have the loft. After Nicole's workcation was over, she was sent home. Chloe was quite sad. And then we moved on to some other construction between Clayton and I. So the next steps we were going to be working on was finishing up the gable ends. And I got over my fear of heights to help Clayton on this. So first, Clayton worked on the Tyvek. The Tyvek is basically a weather barrier that helps waterproof the house, makes it airtight. So he fastened the Tyvek to the insulated OSB that he had previously installed with his dad. The next step after fastening on the Tyvek is putting up the tongue and groove 4-inch pine boards, which basically is the same width as the logs that we had used on the lower half of the house, so it matched up quite well. So this is the step that I helped out. I helped hold one end of the boards on the gable end on one ladder as Clayton and Brad nailed it. into the Tyvek and into the OSB. The next step was staining the logs and the gable ends. So we chose to stain it to protect the wood from weather and sun. If it were not stained, the wood would have grayed over time from the UV light. We actually had to sand the logs first for it to accept the stain and also get off the graying that had already started to happen on the logs as we stored them. We then bought a stain called SDF Sanson, which is a Canadian made stain, and we did 2 coats of this and allowed the logs to breathe while also be protected by the weather. The cabin looks like before staining. The gable end is complete. This is the back of the cabin. That is the washroom window and the kitchen window. So again, unstained, looks pretty light in color, and I'll show you what it looks like after we're done staining it. Stained. Looks pretty nice. This side's not stained yet, but this one is. We timed the staining well, as after the staining was done, we were in for some rough weather, which includes some pretty strong winds, which probably made it dangerous to be up on the ladder. So I have a few shots of that, and parts of the island were flooded, parts of the trail were flooded, but it's pretty cool to see. It doesn't look that big on camera, but let me tell you, when you're on an island by yourself out there, they're quite large waves.
Gable Island looks like it's just getting shit up.
Yeah.
Not much left of it. See, that's why you see them in a storm and the water filtering around their stuff. Look at their island.
After the winds had passed, Clayton made use of one of my weekends and we moved all the windows into the cabin to be ready to install. So they were held in the shed, and we had to carry them from the shed to the deck that's closest to the ground and lift them up. And I have to say, Clayton is very lucky that he is dating a girl with some muscles. So that is it for this video, but we have a lot more that has happened since then, so I have to split it up into a couple videos for you all. I promise I won't leave you hanging for another 5 months. I'll put out the next video in the next couple weeks. I just want this project to be out the door so everyone can enjoy it around the world. We also have been working on some secret plans for the near future, which we will share with you at the end of this series. So until next time, keep dreaming.